I wish that I could freely dream and be judged.
Good morning. Welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brothers. This is an all-male, even it's Women's Month, but we are it's an all-male cast today. So, ladies, if you want to sign up here, we have room at the table. We got to get someone like our sister Denise back here. Say you're listening at the Round Table. I'm here, Larry Ellison, in studio. My brothers from another to my right, Brother Rhodes. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Good morning to you as well.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Bradley. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed and highly favored, brother.
Exactly. Still taking orders. I like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Blessed and highly favored. I mean, I know that it's Women's Month, and it was all males here, but we wouldn't be here without that.
Listen, absolutely. There's nothing that can produce.
We can't lose sight of the fact that we would not be here without that.
No, I never try. I want to thank our sponsor, the Money Store, for all your mortgage needs. Give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 508-345-4726. Also, a reminder that the Money Store, as well as with Samuel Reimer from Reimer Realty Group, they're going to be holding a home buyer workshop on April 5th. That's next Saturday, April 5th, at the Lowell Mills Public Library from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. So again, the sponsors of the Money Store, the sponsors of At the Round Table, of the Money Store, will be hosting a home buyer workshop on April 5th at the Lowell Mills Public Library on Saturday, next Saturday, from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Like I said, you want to come out, and it's free. So like I said, if you're looking at buying a home, there's construction going all over the city of Boston, and we're really not benefiting from most of it. I can say that. So
Mr. T. Michael would
exactly.
would definitely reiterate that fact.
Exactly.
And I know that
PSA?
yes. Oh no, but you guys mentioned the fact that it's Women's History Month, and then you know what? Like if you go up and down Blue Hill, you know those banners that they have hanging there. You can definitely learn a lot about the women's history.
It's interesting you say that, because when they first put them there, people were looking up and they were paying, and we kind of get, and I know life goes on, but they've almost become a blur in a sense, right? That people don't
pay attention.
Right. It's like we a moment, not a movement. Just like the Black Lives Matter was a moment, not a movement.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there's also, I wanted to mention the fact that the Prostate Health Education Network today, they're doing a free screening at the 12th Baptist Church. Well, blood screening at 160 Warren Street from 9 to 3 today. So again, I guess black men are more likely to die from prostate cancer than anything else. So.
Yeah, one of my cousins just got diagnosed with it the other day.
So it's a free educational program and lunch. So people are invited to stop by today.
I want to say also good morning to our little brother Marquise is here from Boston Latin here. He was in engineering, learning the tricks of the trade here. I want to say good morning. It's early. It's really refreshing that young people get up this early. So, Marquise, you want to introduce yourself to the folks out there?
Good morning. I'm Marquise. I go to Boston Latin School. Still a little tired, but
But you go to Latin. What time does school start?
7:45.
Okay, so you're a few minutes.
But it's a Saturday, I'm not used to getting up so early on a Saturday.
And what time does school end?
2:15.
2:15. Okay, that's about the time when I was in school, around the same time.
So,
You know what? I just remembered too. Today is actually the job fair going on at the Reggie Lewis Center for some. If you're looking for a summer job, if you're a teenager, this is the great day to go down there and actually network, pass your resume, or get to see what's available as far as
But before we let this brother go, I want to ask him a couple.
He's here for he's here for the duration, right? For the hour.
Yeah.
So, what's in your plans? What do you want to do after you get out of school? What do you want to be?
Take a nap.
Do lunch.
Probably straight to college. Probably Howard or another HBCU.
All right.
I'm thinking either computer science or be a lawyer.
Okay. Well, I have a daughter who went to Howard, and I have a daughter who went to Clark Atlanta, and I have a daughter who went to the other institute, not Howard, but Hampton. So three of my 5 kids went to HBCUs.
Okay.
And each one of them are doing very well, by the way.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found to be, as a parent, when the first one who went, Naisha, who went to Clark Atlanta, when she wanted to go to HBCU, I was against it, and the reason why I was against it because I felt naively that the world was not a good example of what the world that she would be facing was like, but that was the best thing that ever happened. And then the second, when the oldest daughter went to Hampton, you know, again, her development really impressed me. The person that left the house was not the same person who returned home. And then when the last one went to Clark, I was really impressed because that particular child, my wife and I felt that she really was afraid of black men because she saw us as too rugged and too hard. But when she went to Howard and came back, she appreciated what the black man stood for. And that was all because of the exposure she had at HBCU. So that is a good choice.
Yeah,
If
you're indoctrinated in this society, in the dominant culture, you know, subconsciously makes you afraid of black people, and people don't understand that. And it's like if you go to HBCU, you're in the proper environment to actually learn to love yourself, to treat yourself as an actual human being, not to consider yourself as a second-class citizen. And in this country, when you grow up, you don't realize that you're always denying or shutting yourself down because of what the dominant culture is telling you about yourself, and then you can't believe it. You have to actually have.
She said, "I'm sorry." She said to me, the one that went to Howard, was that she said, "Dad, I saw you as an abnormality for black men because you were different. But when I went to Howard, I realized that you were normal." Because of a lot of black men were like
experiencing that even just in being
Latin, exactly, right? Being one of the few black people there,
right? There's probably very few young black men in that school. I worked in Latin Academy before I retired from the police department, and I saw more, but you saw a lot of people coming in there that didn't look like him. So for folks who don't know, Marquise is interning here with us at the studio, so glad to see that. But Pastor Oz, you mind taking your hat off for me for a second? So Marquise, the initiation.
You're gonna have to lose the hair, my brother. Yeah. No, but you know what? No. The one thing. Here's the thing.
Getting up early is the problem.
No. And here's the thing I want to tell you. Be very proud of your hair. Okay, our hair, black hair, is the only hair that can defy gravity. Yeah. Everyone else's hair hangs down. Our hair is the only one we can have a afro and rises up. Okay, so just remember that we rise up
towards the heavens.
Yeah, exactly.
Rising towards.
Don't be afraid of who you are. Don't be scared of who you
we're
are.
We're gonna take you next door to Pastor Hobbs' barber after the show. Get you fully indoctrinated.
There's definitely an initiation, man. and then we're gonna shine it. I show you how to shine it.
But we're so glad to have you.
Yes, welcome aboard.
Yeah, we appreciate you getting up so early. And we hope that because I saw you, even in some of your you were nodding in agreement with some of these things.
No, because I was still listening.
I understand exactly. You listen with your ears, not with your eyes.
Right. The one thing
That's why it's so good it's a broadcast and not a movie.
Yeah. That's why we have faces for radio. It's so good. But no, we really appreciate you being here. We hope that we can be a beacon and also some more big brothers for you. Just don't feel like after the broadcast you go your separate way. We're here for you, my brother, and we appreciate you. We have much love for you, even though we're just seeing your first day, because there have been mentors in my life. Dr. Bradley is one of them, even Rhodes and Pastor Hobbs, and it's really shaped who I am as a man. And I think a lot of times, sometimes when we're talking about, it's Women's Month, but a lot of times we don't have a lot of men in our lives, unfortunately, for black men and women, young kids. And so we kind of make poor choices because we don't have any choices to make. They usually make them for us. So we just want you to know that we are here for you, my brother. Appreciate you being here so early in the morning. I know we have a caller there. Like I said, we're talking about this mayor's race. I think officially we have, so far, Domingo DeRosa has declared that he is running for mayor. Josh Kraft has, and Mayor Wu has announced, and she's supposed to have her official announcement this upcoming Saturday. And I believe Bill Wright is the other candidate that is running. I believe Bill Wright is on the line. So and then the Globe is reporting today that this developer O'Brien is going to be getting into the race very soon. So that will make it 5 that I know officially. So look like we have a race for mayor here in the city of Boston. No one should go unchallenged. So, and there are a lot of issues, education.
Even in a democracy that's on life support, no one should go unchallenged.
Well, exactly, and I think there are a lot of issues that Mayor Wu has said she was going to fix. One of being the education. That's key with me. We have Marquise here in studio. That he's in one of the better schools in Boston, but the vast majority of schools do not perform like Latin Academy, the O'Brien. They should be the norm, not the exception.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing the decline in population in the schools, but also the cost to live in the city of Boston is just astronomical for people to live here. We're seeing that displacement, people being pushed out. So I think we have Bill Wright, one of the candidates for mayor, on the line. Bill, good morning. How are you, sir? How are you feeling?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
I'm feeling pretty well.
Good. And if I'm not mistaken, if you have officially declared your candidacy for mayor for the city of Boston.
I have done so.
Okay.
Actually, I did it on Facebook.
Okay. And why did you decide? We'll give people a little of your background, of who you are, but and then why you decided at this time, in this moment, to run for mayor for the city of Boston.
Well, my background includes that I've worked for 2 New York State senators and worked the press for Bruce Bowling, first election, the first election for Charles Yancey, for Gloria Fox. I did the press for the Boston Housing Authority during the desegregation of public housing. I was recruited by UMass President Michael Hooker to do the press for the UMass state system, the 5-campus, 60,000 student system. And most of all, I'm a Bostonian. When I look at the candidates that you mentioned, I don't know Mr. O'Brien, but the other 3 who I'm aware of, Josh Kraft and Michelle Wu and Domingos DeRosa, as it stands, they have not nearly the background that I have as far as representing the city of Boston. I was raised in Boston in Roxbury. I went to Boston Latin School.
Yeah, we have a young man in studio here who is attending Boston Latin. Marquise.
Well, Sumus Primi. I'm sure he knows what that means. I'm glad he's getting exposure with radio. And of course, Sumus Primi means we are first. And as a little bit more of my background is that I know, and people are becoming more aware, that the coming year will be a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. With that, people are booking hotels and restaurants and events now who will be coming to Massachusetts and to Boston because this is going to be an incredible invasion of people from all over the world who will want to come and help celebrate with us, and they want to come to the place where it all started.
Yeah.
We don't have I Love Boston commercials like I love New York, or Virginia is for lovers kind of stickers.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that because our history is in everybody's history books all over the world.
Right.
And Boston is the place where students come from all over the world to go to our colleges and universities.
So
Bill,
Bill,
when this event takes place during the year, this coming year, I think it's very, very important that when someone, for example, like King William, who is likely to become the king relatively soon, unfortunately Charles is very ill.
Yeah. So Bill, let me jump in because we're limited on the time here. Because I wanted, Marquise, who I want to take advantage of him being here. He's an alum. He actually is attending Boston Latin, and he's in school. He's a sophomore there. He's interning here this morning in the studio. He's hearing what you're saying, but I want him to get some feedback on the education piece, right? And asking him, what is it that he's seeing that's lacking in the education here in the city?
I'm sorry. Before you said that, I want to hear what Bill said. Something to him, and he said, "You know what that means?" I didn't catch what it meant.
It means.
It was sumus primi. It's the words that Latin school folks use, which means we are first. And of course, we are the first public school.
Okay, I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So Marquise is here. He's interning with us, Bill. And I just want to get perspective on the education here because I think that doesn't get as much attention as it deserves because they said he's in one of the better schools here in Boston. You attended
Hello, Marquise. You're in class 3, I see, with the sophomore. How are you experiencing it, and what schools are you looking to go to when you graduate?
Hello there. I think as a sophomore, I'm a BZ, right? So I came in during 9th grade. I didn't come in during 7th grade like most others. But like as a sophomore who came in during ninth grade, it's been all right. I feel like for BZs though, for people who are coming in during ninth grade instead of seventh, I feel like there's not as many pathways, and like especially for like AP classes are a lot more limited because we don't have as many since we have to take Latin for a little bit longer than everyone else. So I feel like there's not as much support for like people like me as much. Not necessarily like African Americans, but just like people who are coming in later.
The B students that came in the ninth grade rather than seventh grade.
Yeah.
Right.
So Marquise, let me ask you. So did you grow up in Boston?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you grew up in Boston. You see a difference in your education at Latin Academy. Do you have some friends that attend the mainstream Boston public schools?
I have one friend who attends Fenway. I have another friend who attends BLA. Another friend who attends O'Brien.
But aren't those all charter schools that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, also BLA and O'Brien are also both still like exam schools. So they're still,
Okay,
like,
yeah. So those would
Right. So
Yeah.
those would say the exception.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Bill, what would be your plan for Marquise, someone like him who has parents, I'm sure, that vote, on the education piece? Because we've got some other calls on the line we want to get to. What would be your plan if you become the mayor?
It sounds like the headmaster there, who's been there a few years now, they should focus on making sure that the B students are able to have as many AP classes as the A students. That should be the same.
But I mean, across
Yeah.
the board for the school system here in Boston, because there's a decline in the population here, and then funding is tight already, but they keep increasing the budget. It's almost a $1.4 billion budget. It's the largest expenditure that the city makes every year is in education, but it doesn't seem like the investment is paying off. What would be your
Right,
plan to?
Right. And I just read the state's giving up on supporting what Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has been doing. First of all, I would end school busing, because the school busing is not making any sense any longer mathematically,
Okay.
given that there are only 11% white students left in the system.
Yeah.
You're moving kids around for no reason.
Okay.
What you need to do is improve all of the elementary and middle schools in all neighborhoods. Stop busing. That's $200 million a year saved right there.
Okay.
And if all of the schools and all the neighborhoods are quality, then children can go back to walking to their neighborhood schools like we used to do.
No, I think it worked for us. Bill, I got to let you go. We got to get you in studio so you can really, because we've got the lines tied up here. Want to
Sure.
get an overview, but I'm going to give you a call after the broadcast, set up something we can come in and talk the hour about what your platform is if you become the next mayor of the city of Boston. Bill Wright, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. Nice talking to you, brother.
We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Domingo DeRosa, is that Domingo? We have another candidate.
Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good morning, Domingo. How are you, sir? We're giving equal time this morning to the candidates. So if you're listening out there, Mayor Wu and Josh Kraft at the roundtable, give us a call. Domingo, you have declared your candidacy for the mayor for the city of Boston. Give us a back. We have Marquise here, who's our engineer, our young man, who's affected more than most of us here in the city of Boston on what the next mayor is going to do as far as the education piece. So if you can talk about that a little bit on what your platform is and get Marquise to understand why he should get his parents to vote for you, sir.
Well, again, when we talk about one of the largest school districts in the state, and the first and foremost, we voted for an elected school committee in 2021, and that would be one of the first things that I would implement is to get that off the ground, so the people of Boston can actually put people in place to keep our schools open. We're closing 4 schools next year, and within the next 3 to 4 years, we're looking at 15 schools.
Yeah, I say they just
We have one of the largest.
I understand they only announced the 4, but there are more because I think it's because
Yeah,
of
we're
an election.
looking at about a total of 15 in the next few years.
Wow.
We have one of the biggest spending budgets when it comes to our schools. We're at 1.6, just a little bit under $1.6 billion. BPS takes up about 41% of the city's budget. A lot of that funding comes from property taxes from homeowners. Our
which just went up
universities,
considerably.
our universities are part of the pilot program. They don't really contribute to that. So, one of the things that I'd like to see as the mayor is to make sure that elected school committee comes to fruition. Like I said, in 21 we voted for it, and we're in 25 and we're still waiting on it. Another piece is combining departments such as BCYF and BPS. BCYF was originally called Community Schools. And the reason why they were brought in was to bring their extracurricular activities. We already have the funding for those programs, such as computers, swimming, extracurricular with basketballs and the sports. So bringing those two together will give our students the opportunities that they deserve. We're losing so many different sports within BPS.
Right.
You know, at Madison Park, I'm class of '96 from Madison Park, and we have no football program.
Right.
And the basketball program walked off the court during the game. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we need to give these students back the interest of learning. So a lot of our students.
Domingo, so let me also, because like I said, we're limited in the time. So Dr. Bradley brought up, and I wanted to, if you were elected mayor, you know, Mayor Wu's administration just awarded, you know, a very lucrative contract. In my opinion, they put on an RFP, but it was really designed for one person and one person only, Ed Davis. I know the Bay State Banner is wrote on it. I've been quoted as well as others on this. I think it's a travesty because I think it's an opportunity to uplift our folks, because I think the average wage is $60 an hour for these flagmen, mm-hmm. and so that means that Ed Davis is going to be profiting substantially from this, the former police commissioner. Would you revisit that contract if you were the mayor of Boston, so that is really spread around more prosperous? I've never seen a police contract where an individual outside of the folks, the parties that were the contract was about, being interjected into a contract, and then when they get caught, then they put it in an RFP, mm-hmm. and then he's still awarded it. Mm-hmm. Would you revisit that?
Yes, definitely will. A little bit about me. I spent 17 years as the chapter president for BCYF SEIU AA8, mm-hmm. and a big portion of the city. We're heavy. We're heavy when it comes to management. Okay. We're top heavy. So a lot of our funding in these contracts are going to administration fees, and we're creating jobs within departments that we should already, you know, be eliminated instead of increasing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that are going on with this budget that there's no line item. We had a hearing on holding folks accountable and looking to have an audit, and that was rejected by the city council because there's a lot of things that, you know, there's a lot of fat on that bacon, and we need to get to a point where we can see those line items as a city, so we can say, hey, you know, do we want to do this or don't we want to do this? Okay. Because there's a lot of money being spent unnecessarily on things that we shouldn't be.
Well, the city shouldn't be any different than those of us who are residents or coming here. When we don't have it to spend, we can't spend it, and we need to prioritize on. I want to give Marquise if he does have a question for you, because I think our young people are our future. He's in the schools, and what he thinks that the next mayor should be doing to improve the school system. Do you have any comments or questions about that, Marquise?
I don't think I have any.
I don't think your mic's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No. Go ahead.
I don't think I have any questions right now, but I mean, actually, I was wondering, for since MCAS is no longer a graduation requirement, and it was kind of like something that that like I know like the state uses to see like which schools need like more funding and like which schools are like top class and whatnot. Like, what's gonna be like? Is there gonna be like a new graduation requirement that like replaces MCAS, or like a new like milestone that like schools have to like reach or something like that?
So we know that they have the basics,
competence,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So great question. So he said he didn't have one. Those are great questions.
Good, yes.
So any response to that before we let you go?
Well, he's absolutely right. We, the people, voted for that because it was hindering, especially the black and brown students. Yeah. When you come out of a school district like BPS, K through 8 is at a 23% reading level at grade level, 32% for high school. So that's a disadvantage for students that live here in Boston. Mm-hmm. That's not giving us a leg up to get into these universities. Mm-hmm. You know, I had asked Mayor Wu one time at a meeting. I said, Mayor Wu, you're a graduate from Harvard. How many BPS students are also getting the same opportunities as you? And she looked at me and couldn't answer the question because that's not where we're sending our students. We don't have AP classes in majority of our schools. We're not giving these students, there's 7 different AP tests that you can take to put these students into a college career. No. And that's not what's happening.
No, you're right. I live outside, and I know my daughter is in one, and I see the benefits of it because it puts you on track. It has you in the mindset of thinking you're right, because if they're honest with themselves, they know a lot of these kids are not being prepared, so that's why they're not pushing that track.
Well, but Larry, that in itself is a sad commentary, because if I'm not mistaken, our budget for the school is somewhere around 1 point something billion.
He just said 1.6. He just said 1.6.
So you got a 1.6 billion budget, but the students, the product of your school system will not be accepted in the colleges in your city.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Right, and they're not.
Again,
Domingo, we've got to let you go.
kidding me.
Listen, give me a call. We want to schedule with all of the candidates. We're offering this to come in and make your pitch. We're going to give you each person will get the hour, so that they can make their pitch to the public on why they should vote for you for the city mayor. But thank you for this morning, and please reach out to me, and we'll set that up to get you in.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
You guys have a great morning.
You too. Appreciate you.
Larry, if you think about that, that's appalling, man. You have a $1.4 billion budget.
Yeah.
And the product that your school system is producing, the colleges, and Boston got some of the best colleges in the world.
But they don't have to pay their fair share, even in contributing, getting our kids ready for college.
But the students coming out of your school system are not accepted in your colleges because they're not equipped.
Right.
After
But we
1.4
give
billion.
the college breaks to keep operating in this system, but nobody holds them accountable. Good morning, Jamal. Welcome to the round table.
Good morning, y'all. How you doing?
We're doing well. I guess we're doing okay, but from listening to what we're hearing, things are not so well out there in the world. But.
All right. Well, good morning, brother Marquise. Welcome to the round table. They done grilled you more like you want him for mayor.
Listen, Jamal, you come in. We're taking them to the barbershop when we leave.
No, they're not.
And this brother got a whole head of hair, man. I'm telling you,
we're gonna try to patch some of that gloss.
get some of that hair off of it and shine it up, man. Like we can sit back and say, who's your daddy?
Hey, look, Marquise, look. I'll be there in a half hour to pick you up. I'll usher you to safety.
Yeah, because he got an afro too. We've been trying to get him. Have hair will travel.
Have hair will travel. Have hair will run.
But no, we're taking advantage. It is refreshing to have this young man in here because this is our future, right? And to get them educated early on, like we were, is the reason why a lot of us are advocates in the way that we are, because that's what we came up from. A lot of these kids don't know what to advocate for or who to help mentor. So we're hoping that we're implementing that today with Marquise. But you go ahead, Jamal. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's fine.
No. So now, let me just add a little appeal because I've heard the previous callers, Mr. Bill Wright, Mr. Domingos DeRosa, both of whom are running for office. As always, these are conversations we've had on air for years now with Priscilla, everything else, talking about having a black agenda, talking about having questionnaires for any candidate who's running for any office, whether it's local city council, whether it's state rep, state senator, or mayor. And I think that what we really have to do, in my opinion, and I hate to be a Donnie Downer in this case,
okay, yep.
but we have to really talk about viability and reality. And right now, with the new news, obviously, right now, we have Michelle Wu, who's
Thomas
the incumbent.
O'Brien, right?
Right. We have Kraft, a gazillionaire, and then we have Thomas O'Brien, who's kind of also a gazillionaire. He don't got as much money as Kraft, I don't believe, but you won't catch either one of them at the check cashers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the other candidates who are emerging from our community with Bill Wright and Domingos, I just want to know what is the perceived path to victory or viability. Because in my opinion, if you cannot raise $100,000, which is a pittance, it's just I don't see any viable
right. No,
chance.
and I think that's a fair question, but also and I have to look at it from the other side as well, right? It's sad to say that really being elected now has become how much money you can raise. We look at how much money is being spent, right? Is that the evil of this, right? That people like yourself who run and others like, who might be able to do a better job, but because they don't have access to the finances to raise the money to run, that automatically eliminates a lot of the people who would probably do a better job than the folks that we've seen it.
Well,
'Cause, you know,
Well, so it's numbers, and it's two types of numbers. It's numbers, cash money numbers, and then it's actual numbers of people. So no, like people don't need to be super wealthy or whatever to win an election, but money pays for the things that you need: printed materials, offices, staffs, phones. All of these types of things where you have to be crisscrossing the city in order to spread your message. This is going to be less of a burden for some than others. So if you have a war chest, this is where you'll be able to do this all across the city. And all I'm saying is that, and I wish everybody the same amount of luck or blessings or whatever. I have no ill will for anybody, but I am a staunch realist. And I take this stuff serious. And our community is in a dire place.
A dire would be an improvement, Jamal.
Yes, right. And so when people emerge and say, hey, I can be the mayor, to me, it needs to be viable and realistic if we're going to link our hopes on. Let me give you a couple of examples. To go back, how beloved is Mel King is damn near a black saint now in our community. He's been, venerated to like saint status, right? So this is the closest thing we had to a guy who was all about love and equality and boopity boop, had all sorts of support, was a state rep and all this, and he lost. Okay? Then let's flash forward. Let's take somebody who was extremely popular in our community like Chuck Turner. Controversial, let's take away, let's say before, the problems with the court and all that type of stuff. But just Chuck Turner. Chuck Turner runs for office. Do you think Chuck could win for mayor?
No.
One of our beloved, Charles Yancey. Charles Yancey probably has the phone book memorized.
Right
Charles
now.
Yancey knows everything.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? He ran for office. All right? Tito Jackson, everybody's favorite, Jolly Wally guy. Okay? What happened there?
Yeah.
And Jamie.
Charlotte Gola-Ritchie.
Charlotte Gola-Ritchie. So all I'm saying is, when a new person emerges, particularly a person that, in my opinion or from my research or experience, does not even have the resumes to compare with those folks, I just wonder what makes you different. How are you going to overcome? Like some people, see me on Facebook or whatever. They'd be like, Jamal, you should run for mayor. I wish I had that much ego. Okay? Absolutely not. It's just not realistic. And once again, I wouldn't vote for my own mother. You know what I mean? If Pastor Wall all of a sudden said he's running for mayor, I would say don't do that.
So what you're saying is these people are running from common sense, in essence, in the sense that, I think because I'm looking at, the national level and around this country where people with a lot of money are trying to decide the influence, and that's really scary, right? Like I said, and I believe as well, the competency is definitely a quality, but that's where the vetting process, right? I think people aren't really voting per se. In some instances, they are on emotion, but there's very little fact finding that takes place. We wouldn't have Donald Trump if people were to go in and pay attention and really deal with whether or not a person is qualified, right? I think that Donald Trump has broke the mold of saying, hey, if you have enough money, you can be the dumbest rock and you can be the president of the United States. So I think that only emboldens people to say, hey, if you can do it, I can do it, right?
Which is also dangerous as well. I remember several years back, y'all remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California, which in and itself was crazy enough. He was the governator, as people called him. Okay? But in the elections for governor that year, I remember there was like a porn actress who like had some ridiculous thing, and it was like somebody else who was like a magician or something. It was like a cast of characters, and it really, to me, brought down the overall decorum of what this
Donald
office
Trump was an
is.
Entertainer with The Apprentice.
And there you go. So this is what we've now come to. So when we thought that people like Schwarzenegger or the other former wrestler Jesse Ventura, we thought these were the people who were fringe,
Yeah.
right? But now what's happening is that I think anybody feels like, hey, I'll run for office. What's the guy in Vermont with the boot on his head, Vermin Supremes?
Yeah.
Can I defend?
you know-
I'd like to actually defend Jesse the Body Ventura and Arnold Schwarzenegger as far as like them running for office. They again had an agenda for the people that they were representing, and they weren't about their ego and just them amassing power. And
They both did far better than I would have.
Yes.
I would have bet my money on.
Exactly.
For sure.
They actually were there for the people. They weren't there for their own ego.
Jamal,
okay.
yeah.
And then I will say that Jesse the Body Ventura was a Navy SEAL, and he does have a background. And like after he left office, he realized how bad it was. He moved to Mexico. he was like, this country is dead. Because he said he was approached. Like he said, after he won the governorship, they didn't believe it. And he said the actual power brokers approached him afterwards, like in the basement of the building, and said, hey, we need to talk to you.
Listen, I already have my T-shirt, American for Canada, so I'm trying to see if they'll take me in.
And I think if we did not take the dire warning that this guy was entertaining, he told us that we do not have a democracy.
Right.
Like the fact that there are people that have like entrenched themselves in government where they can like, oh, you're the governor, but you know, we really run things around here.
Jamal, stand by for a second. I want to bring this other caller in. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dicko.
Yeah, for my thoughts on the mayor race, I hate to say it, but, and no, I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not a Mayawi, I'm not a psychic, but Michelle Wu's going to win, and yes, you can put me on the record for saying that.
So are you
she
supporting
loses,
her
yeah.
candidacy? Because you seem to be one of the few people that I've spoken to in my inner circle that think that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I talk to these people, but I this is the first time I can say that I've been around people where normally the incumbent, you know, the people are hesitant to say that they're not supporting them or whatever. I have not seen this much backlash for an incumbent. And maybe people say, oh, it's the first time we've had a female and she calls herself a person of color. I'm not saying she is, but you know,
we had another female before, but it was an intern.
Right, so elected. I
Yes.
should say the first elected
one, yes.
female mayor. But I'm not hearing a lot of that, and maybe I'm not in the circle of the people that I travel, because I try to have conversations with people who are actually going to vote or are actually engaged, not just on an emotional that can really, you know, articulate why they have this reason. And you just said it. So tell us why you think she's going to win. If you think she's not the best candidate, what has she done?
Well, first and foremost, I said this many times, I'm not a fan of Michelle Wu.
Okay.
No, do I vote for her? I gotta make that completely clear for the audience. But looking at this woman's record and what she's doing currently, it goes by saying that her record on making sure Boston is safe and getting the information out and getting the people more engaged, like not like how it was previously, it tells me that she got the votes locked up for people to vote for her in November.
Right. So you say that you feel this same way. So what are the people that do you have conversations with people around you in your community about the issues, not emotions, but the issues, why they should vote for someone for mayor in the city of Boston, and what is that feedback been if you've been having those conversations?
Oh, I got a lot of conversations for different people. Most people say that for where I live, they say that she does a great job because she bring in many businesses into Boston. Case in point, like JetBlue, also the Boston Women's
JetBlue
Soccer
was here
League.
before Mayor Wu, but okay. I'm not sure if you're talking to informed voters, because if they thinking Michelle brought JetBlue, they could say saying she brought the Boston Marathon to Boston. That's been here forever. But okay. No, fair enough. Thank you. Any suggestions for our young intern here, Marquise, on getting involved in the political scene?
That's easy.
What's
Do your homework, vote on logic, not feeling, and make sure that you hold the politicians accountable. No excuses,
I'll make sure to remember that.
He's taking notes.
He goes to Latin. He got to do his homework.
Exactly. That's why he's tired this morning from all that. Thank you.
And let me just say this, because I want to interject. Why I believe now too. I already thought that Michelle Wu would most likely be victorious, and this is not because I have any favorites in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just based on my past political knowledge. Once again, the whole incumbent thing.
Mm-hmm.
Incumbents generally don't get beat in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And Josh Kraft, who, up until a moment ago was the only, major contender in the race, has never even ran for office before, which is also a big, detractor.
I would
on
say
his
that
side.
too, Jamal. But look at the nut we have in the White House, right? Never ran for office, and he leapfrogged over, not even being a city councilor, not even a.
Yeah, once again, we can't use Donald Trump as.
I'm not saying, but I think this.
Yeah,
not to cut you off, but I think because there's such a different climate in this country now, where even in Massachusetts, Donald Trump picked up another 4%, and I'm not saying they're all Boston residents, but I'm saying is that there's a climate out there now that.
Oh no, for sure there is, but also he's an anomaly. For instance, those who are down from him were not able to, achieve his same success. Or maybe it's his bombasticness or whatever it is, but for whatever reason, he certainly has cast a spell on America and enthralled people. And other people have tried to be Trump-esque, if you will, and it hasn't worked out the same. But here in Boston, all I'm saying is that the power of the incumbency is great. The power of having been on the ballot so many times as a repeat mayor now, as a former city councilor, she has a base. He has to build a base.
Yeah.
And once again, too, in politics, if your base is generally built off of dissatisfaction or disgruntlement, that it just very rarely wins.
No, I agree with you to that, but I think though in this case here, right, where a lot of people, I'm hoping, and not because of how I want them to vote, is that people have realized that not voting, there are consequences for that, right? So in Boston and around the country, there are more people that don't vote than do vote, and that's the problem. We try to get people don't just register, but actually casting the vote.
So now, Dr. Bradley, let me get your take on this, because here's what I think now. And to me, this is more major than the Josh Kraft thing. But now Tom O'Brien comes in. Okay, so now that splits. We've often talked about splitting the quote unquote black vote, right? But this to me splits the white vote. Now, both of these people are wealthy, wealthy people. Josh Kraft is a Jewish guy who they kind of see as outside of Boston. He just moved here, quote unquote. He lived in Chestnut Hill or wherever it was, blah, blah, blah. O'Brien has been here for quite a long time. He's worked under several administrations. He's a big-time developer. And, also, too, if you didn't, tell from his last name, he's also Irish.
He had the right name. I was thinking that. He had the right name. Go on.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think that he's the dark horse in the race, and I think that can sway a lot of these numbers. And once again, unfortunately for our community folks, I just don't see where they fit in what's going to be a grab for these numbers.
I will let Dr. Bradley answer.
I personally think it's going to boil down to those three, in my opinion. I think O'Brien has the right name, the name that. What was that?
I don't know what it is.
I got feedback. The name that most people, that are voting, will actually recognize. So sometimes when you're in that voting booth and you're not on top of all these different platforms, you're just going by name. I like that name. That person sounds like, and boom, you get the vote. So I think it's going to be out of those three. But if I really, if based on what I know about politics in Boston, having that O'Brien name is I think it's going to be between him and Wu.
Right. So I guess, gentlemen, where do you think Michelle Wu's base is? Because, like I said, the people that I've been having,
I think it's the young folks. I think it's the young individuals who are just getting into politics. I think that's where the base is. I think people like ourselves.
See, you raise a very good point, but I also think there's a price to pay for ignoring a lot of our
absolutely.
And I think that those are the folks who actually vote. A lot of our young people don't. I've talked to a lot of our seniors, and they feel like they've been ignored.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Like they don't want bike lanes.
I'm going to say, I think she spent a lot of political capital on this bike lane issue, but I think it's something that young folks who can gravitate towards her because they see her as that new form of Boston leadership.
But now, what about the issue where these young folks can't afford to live in Boston?
Well,
The education here in Boston.
Yeah, I got it. But I think you have young people who are actually coming into the city, who are well educated, who are living here in, have finagled the bagel and living here in groups, getting roommates and doing all the things to make it work.
Yeah.
They're tending to think that the city is vibrant, the city is offering more opportunities than other places. I think that's where
you guys raised a very good point, and I think there is a power of the incumbency. But I also feel that people I spoke to, there's a different climate because a lot of those things that you talked about are very well, but they don't feel they were in reach for them. Like even under Menino and even Walsh, I think it has grown exponentially where it's gotten worse for those folks that were those poor, because you could still afford to live in Boston, right? Even under Menino and even under Walsh, you could afford different things here. That now almost seems unattainable, and it's like it happened on her watch, right? Where you're seeing all of this housing growing here in the city of Boston. Like I have family in town, and we were driving through the city, and my sister, who hasn't been here for, she was like, "Wow, look at all of this." But we're also seeing who's walking out of those buildings, and they don't look like us. And these are in neighborhoods that we grew up. Yeah. So that's the dilemma that I think people are also seeing is will there be any backlash?
Yeah, but Larry, I don't think so, because gentrification is not only Boston. It's not happening only in Boston, and I think that populist argument that we're not the only city is going to save her. You know what I mean? Right. I think that is going to be the emphasis. Right. That is going to be the generator that actually generate change in the city, because of the fact that people who are moving in who do not look like us are going to have a bigger demand that they're going to honor.
But I think so. Rose, help us out here, because what's it like in the the Haitian community? Because Mayor Wu ran on fixing Mass and Cash. It's still broken as all. The schools, and we still don't know what the state is going to do, and also on housing. But one of the things that really disappoints me with Mayor Wu, honestly, and it's not a personal, is she ran on claiming that she was being ignored. She felt like she wasn't being heard at the council. And she's turned around, in my opinion, and done that same thing to people here. And I think that's what's not. What say what you want about Menino and his policies. I didn't agree with most of them, and he and I didn't agree on most issues. But there was the community felt connected to him. They felt connected to Marty Walsh. Marty Walsh was a guy that I didn't like a lot of stuff, but I felt like I could have a beer with him. I don't feel that with Michelle Wu. I feel like she is this Harvard elite.
You can't have a beer with Marty Walsh. He's a recovering alcoholic. Come on.
You got me there.
But Larry, let's go back to this Mass and Cass issue. How often are you hearing about it?
Well, it's been you're hearing about it.
No, think about it though. I mean, it becomes solved in the minds of voters who are not, although it's not solved. Yeah. I give you that. But in the minds of the individuals who are not hearing about it on the mainstream media like they did before, in their minds, it's like, well, she did something about it. In actuality, she did not do anything about it.
I just, because it's just like, and I don't listen to him taking offense, but it's like Sadiq in his mind that Nubian Square is this utopia, right? And we all know what's going on down there. So those of us who are paying attention don't buy it completely.
But how many of us who are paying attention that can sway the vote, though?
Well, that's where we're going. I think this is going to be a testament to whether or not people are really engaged like they should be. I know, Pastor Hobbs, you have some comments you want to say. And folks, with that whistling that you're hearing in there is Brother Marquise's hair, so that's why we got to get him. We're going to take care of that after the broadcast.
It's pointing towards the heavens.
Go ahead. Pastor Hobbs, you had something you want to...
Let me just bring this down. So I just wanted to say, I'm looking here in the Bay State banner, and she's saying, "No one tells Boston how to take care of our own, not kings, not presidents who think they are kings," quote unquote, right? And for me, while that sounds really wonderful, for me, my challenge is very personal right now, and it has to do with this property. That we've been here for years, right? Pastor's been a living legend, a person of integrity and character. And right now, we know the situation. Well, some people know the situation, some don't. But literally, the city has us in land court. The city is
trying to take this church that
correct,
we're here.
correct, and that's easily could be resolved, right? And we reached out, and I'm waiting still to hear back. He's reached out, we're waiting to hear back. So that's problematic for me. When real estate is being taken up all across the city, churches are being bought and being high-end condos, and here this real estate that he has been here. We've been in the community for a long time, and right now having this David and Goliath with the city. And for me to hear the lawyers say that that's their intention, just to me is I don't even have the words. It's unconscionable.
Well, see, that's the type of things that I'm talking about, right? And I know, churches don't have the congregations. Some have these mega churches, right? But those people who are hearing this, who are members, are not going to cast a vote for an administration that is doing this. And that's why when you just said, we don't have kings, we don't have all those things. But in my opinion, Mayor, we'll act just the same, because her not listening when people are saying we don't want more bike lanes, we want certain things, and she says, I know and I alone know what's best for you, and I'm going to give it to you whether you want it or not.
But see, and that's right. But the fact of the matter here is that how many people, is there enough people in this church who are not voting
that's
for her?
why I said, no, there's not enough people in this church,
Exactly.
even if they all voted for her against her.
She's still, you know what I mean? But and I think what Pastor Hobb is saying is a very, very valid issue here. The fact that you will want to take this building for that purpose, that's your intent. You don't want to resolve the issue. You want to just take the building, all right? Because you want to shut down this platform. We know what it is, all right? But the bottom line here is that do we have enough people who are willing to come out to vote her out?
Well,
I'm thinking that I just don't see it.
I heard her say on another occasion, if you come for one of us, you come for all of us, right? And so, it's one thing for people who are registered who don't vote. That's deplorable, right? But how about the people who don't even register, right? So that's the point. We have a democracy, allegedly. So
As
this
long
is
as we can keep it.
a rallying call for
Right.
people to be able to exercise and not just sit on the sidelines. Because if as it relates to property, we see, again,
Okay, see,
Go ahead,
that's
bro.
the thing right there. I saw on Facebook the church is under attack, but he said I can't say nothing right now. So if people don't know nothing, we can't do nothing.
Facts.
Right?
That's true.
So as soon as you and obviously call me after and Pastor Wall, whatever, obviously you got a crew right here. But let us know what the situation is, and maybe not reveal all the details publicly,
Facts.
but let us know what it is, and I could put my shoulder behind that.
All right.
We appreciate that, brother.
Listen.
We appreciate that.
All
We
right.
Of course.
Yeah, we really have like 3 minutes.
I-
We appreciate that. And Pastor's we've been praying. We are supposed to pray. That's the rallying call right now is to pray. If you can make a call,
Right.
do some, but that's the
Jamal,
short of it.
Right. Jamal, we've got to go. We want to end this with, so I'm going to call you as well after the broadcast because we'll figure out how we can help with this problem. This is what I'm saying is that, this should not even be an issue, something that should be resolved, and it should be a rally cry for the community to say, hey, we can't allow
Peace.
this.
Y'all go. God bless.
Yeah,
Peace.
thank you. We want to close up. Marquise, we want to put you on the spot here. We want you've been listening for the last 2 hours. We want to get your perspective on the broadcast, the importance of having this type of dialogue, and do you see the benefit of it in something that you
As a young man.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's a good broadcast from what I've been hearing. I've also never spoken to so many mayor candidates before. So, I mean, that itself, like, I've always seen that as, like, an experience that was very interesting. But I think it's good to have, like people in the community, like, directly talking to these mayor candidates and, like, actually, like, seeing, like, what they're about, like, confronting them on, like, issues and, like, how they're gonna, like, actually do something, like real people in the community who you can come and talk to, and not just, like, someone who you don't know. Like, like, someone who you might, like, I think it's nice to be able to see someone who you might pass by on the street, right? Or, like, who you go to church with, talking to a mayor candidate and, like, actually confronting them on what that mayor candidate plans on doing in the future for the city, and not just some guy that like lives in a high rise who you're never gonna see and has millions of dollars and doesn't even really live in Boston. They just own property here.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what gives us hope, is hearing a young man articulate the way you do, just said that, and we feel honored this morning to be working with you and to be part of the team.
Minus the haircut.
But we got to get that taken care of to make it official.
No, we're going to encourage you to keep coming back and tell your friends and spread the word. Again, this is definitely a resource in the community that's needed to be protected. And then unfortunately, people don't realize that we are here. And then so we're trying to bring that awareness up as well.
All right, we've got to go. You've been listening at the Roundtable with MAMLEO. God willing, Dr. Bradley.
Be blessed.
As long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle so if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle I always